Hey guys, what's up? I wanted to upload this video again because it wasn't narrated, and some of us need it to be narrated because it's just better to understand. So the idea was to create a render without any 3D models. So what I did first was create like a mini sketch in Photoshop of what I wanted. I wanted like a very cold look, so I went to the Adobe color palette that is installed in the CC, and I selected like the coldest and like the most interesting color palette that I thought was going to work, and I just quickly sketched what I thought the image was going to be, which was just like an image of the sea with a lot of fog, maybe a building in the background, and dark people in the front, like very people in cold. So I started looking for the textures. The majority of textures I got them from Google. Um, I got them from Google, and I searched them for them to be in high res. And as soon as I got the textures, the first textures I got, like the most important ones, were the ones that were in the foreground. That was the wood texture. That was going to be like in the pier section where all the people were going to be standing. Then the next one was going to be the texture of the water. That had to be like like a very coldish, winterish water. And then pictures of the background, like of any city, and obviously a handrail. That it was just a PNG image of all of this was downloaded from Google, so it wasn't that complicated. And yeah, the majority of images I used masks to cut them. Like the ones that I didn't use masks were the ones that I thought weren't going to be modified as much. And obviously the foggy sky was very helpful too, because that like that gave it the look. And when you don't have much detail, if you're much in the concept design stage, then you can achieve the foggy style. So I turned off and on the matte painting, and then started searching in textures.com, which was before cgtextures.com, which has like great textures. The background city that I was going to use, so I just picked any random image that had a lot of buildings and looked like that could be used for a part of a skyline. And in that page too, I also looked for a brick texture and a glass texture. So those were the only there weren't too much textures, just the city skyline, the wood texture, the water, and then the building texture, which was going to be in brick and in glass. The whole feeling was going to be more or less like a very cold feeling, except for the brick part, which was going to be like a platform, which you guys are going to see in a minute. And yeah, just the thing that helped a lot and that I recommend you guys do first is obviously sketch a painting of what the composition is going to be like. This was more of a symmetrical composition, so it just functioned in order of foreground, middle ground, and background, just in that order. And it was a pretty easy to read image. But maybe you guys have more complex composition, so it's always better to sketch them beforehand, just with a brush, to see how do you think it's going to turn out. And also very, very important, it's also cool that you guys have a color palette that you all more or less know where the ambient or color is going to be like, because when you have that color palette, like the mood you're gonna get and the type of people you have to put in, and just everything is going to consolidate a little bit more. So you guys can get color palettes from a lot of places in the internet. I get them sometimes from Photoshop itself, that it has a plugin that is installed that it's called Adobe Color Theme. So you guys just you put in the search bar cold or hot or Renaissance, or I don't know, a name of something that you want the color palette to be like, and then it gives you about 5 colors, which you can change, but it's a very good guide. So with this guide, because it was a sketch building, it wasn't like a real building. I started pasting the glass texture. The important thing was that this texture was a smart object, so I could duplicate it and it wouldn't, it wouldn't get damaged, the image. So I just duplicated all this, and the same with all the textures. I also put a line of trees in the background and started making the foreground a little bit darker so the background could stand out a little bit more. And yeah, well, you guys can see how the fog, what I was telling you before, it helps to erase a lot of detail. But it's good to make it, high quality too. This was like a 3000 pixels by 1500, I think. And then the lighting, I did it with a Photoshop brush, and just put a bit darker the areas that I thought were going to receive less light, and the areas that I thought were going to receive more light I just put a mask over it, a brightness and contrast mask. And then I put a layer of trees, which was also, you can get by the internet. And finally, I think the important thing was to get people in the foreground, and a reflection. I wanted also to achieve the idea that it had just finished raining. Oh, and it's also important the lights in the buildings, right? So this texture was I also got it from cgtextures.com, or textures.com, I'm sorry. And you just, as a smart object, you put it over your buildings, and then you apply you apply a filter that says screen. So it just, it screens all the black parts, and all the light parts, it just highlights it more. So I just had that so it could look like, the office's buildings were functioning. And as I was telling you guys before, I duplicated like the whole layer and made it as a reflection in the foreground. So what I did was duplicate it, get the whole layers, put Control J, and then merge all those layers, and then flip them vertically, and then started erasing the parts where I didn't want the water to reflect, to make it look like more like a pondish, like if it was a pond or water that had come out from rain. And yeah, you see, I just duplicated it, and with a mask just started painting what was going to be the water reflections. And this is it has to be very imperfect. When you walk on the street, there's not a special pattern. It's just, it really depends on the material and everything. But yeah, in this occasion, I just applied that. I also tried applying gradient maps and everything to see maybe what color corrections would be good. But in the end, the cold one was just the one that fitted more. And the people, some of them I got from Google, some of them I got from my personal library, but it's people you guys can get anywhere. I also duplicated it, and with the masks selected of the reflection, just painted it over. So it was very helpful. So some of the people I got from Google, just searching for people in coats or something, and some of the people I got from my personal library. The good thing was I knew that these guys were all going to be more or less dark-ish. They weren't going to be so illuminated, so the detail there wasn't going to be too much detail, so that was an advantage too. But when you have like a sunny day, it's more of a challenge. It's a little bit harder. But yeah, I think it worked. It wasn't that complicated. If you guys have obviously any specific questions, I would just write them in the comments, and we'll try to answer them. And obviously, if you guys want this PSD file just to follow along or to maybe investigate what other things you're curious about, you guys can write an email to let'sshowitbetter@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it. So I'm just applying there just the more, more people, darkening them up, putting the reflections on them, and that really gives the depth of the image that it needs. It really highlights that there's a foreground, then there's a middle ground, and then when you just start really looking at the image, you see that obviously there's a background, with the skyline and the fog. So that is very important for an image, to have like a dynamic movement for your eyes, that you look first in the front, then in the back, and then in the middle, however you want the user's eye to move through the image. And that was probably it. At the end, obviously there were a little bit of color corrections, just adjusting the brightness and the contrast of the whole image. But in general, like the idea never changed. It was still the same. So that was cool. I once heard someone say that, no, not someone, I once heard the guys from MIR say that the most complex images are the ones that you guys, you do in a normal sunny day. And it's very true. I mean, you can see with these images, they have some level of complexity, but the majority of dark and dramatic images, there can be a lot of detail hidden, and it's not that challenging. When you have a sunny day where the light is going everywhere, you have to show everything with detail, and that is a complex image. So we hope to do those types of tutorials in the future. But in general, that was the image. I hope you guys, if you guys want to keep on seeing these type of videos, if you guys want to get a notification every time we upload a video, so you can get more tips and tricks of how to do these type of images, just click the subscribe button. When you click the subscribe button, you're going to get probably notifications, or you're going to see more of these videos coming up. I try to upload videos a lot of times every week, and they're about different subjects, and most of them are architectural representation, so that's good. And yeah, just subscribe and hit the like button. If you think your friends are going to like it, hit the share button. And thank you for watching. See you later.